I can't count the number of times that I've heard the phrase, "I'm so sore," which means I had a great workout. But did you? Is soreness an indication of an effective workout or a signal that you aren't working out often enough? Soreness occurs when the body is recovering from a stimulus that it is not accustomed to experiencing. So if you have never done a certain exercise before and you are new to working out, one set of that exercise taken to failure will lead to extreme soreness within 24 to 48 hours. But if you continue to perform one set of that exercise every 3 to 5 days, after the second workout, your soreness will disappear, and you will no longer experience any soreness when performing one set of that exercise unless you decide to take an extended vacation from it. After a long break, your body will become accustomed to not performing one set of that exercise anymore, and once you hit one set again, you will experience soreness because of that prolonged layoff. So the amount of rest between workouts dictates whether or not your body will decondition itself enough that it becomes sore again. But one additional variable also impacts soreness, and that is the amount of work you do in a given workout. For example, if you begin working out with one set of bench press, you may become sore after the first one set bench press workout, but you won't experience soreness in the chest if you continue to perform one set of bench press every 3 to 5 days. However, what happens if you decide to increase from one set to 2 sets? Because of this new stimulus to the body in the form of an extra set, you may experience soreness. But then, after 1 to 2 workouts every 3 to 5 days of bench press with 2 sets, the soreness disappears, unless you take an extended vacation from bench press, or you decide to add a third set to each bench press workout. As you can see, the 2 factors influencing soreness are whether the body has recently experienced an exercise at a given number of sets, and whether you continue to use that same number of sets every 3 to 5 days for any given exercise. So why are there so many people who claim to be sore every time they perform the same workout? How is it possible for their body to experience a new stimulus every time they train, even though they train the same way, with the same number of sets? The answer is simple. Because you are taking too many days of rest between performing the same exercise again, which resets the body's expectations and triggers soreness. The amount of time where this usually occurs is when allowing 7 or more days between repeating the same workout, as this gap begins to reset the body's expectations, and this leads to soreness. So the question remains, is this feeling of soreness good or bad? The one time it isn't good is when it's happening because you took too many rest days between performing the same exercise. And in my Muscle Now program, I have always recommended resting 3 to 5 days between repeating a workout so that the body does not begin to adjust itself to no stress, because resting this long will limit muscle gains. You want to ride the wave of recovery, where you rest long enough for the body to be ready to repeat an exercise, but not too long as to where it begins to expect no work. And the 3 to 5 day window has proven to be the most effective range for repeating an exercise when the goal is to maximize muscle growth. Unfortunately for many though, bad advice reigns supreme, and they have heard that training a muscle group once per week is the best way to build muscle, which couldn't be further from the truth. By waiting 7 days to repeat the same exercise, your body begins to adapt to rest, not stress. And this is the reason why those who rest 7 or more days between repeating an exercise are often sore every week. Some who are stuck in this soreness cycle may have been led to believe that they needed to rest a week before repeating an exercise specifically because of the soreness, when in reality, the soreness will disappear if they decrease their rest between exercises to 3 to 5 days, which seems counterintuitive, but once you understand that the body is constantly adapting, it makes perfect sense. You only need to rest long enough for the body to recuperate before performing that same exercise again. And when you rest longer than this, you rob yourself of more opportunities for muscle growth by reducing the number of times you perform that same exercise each week, month, and year. As for me, I gained 65 pounds of muscle mass naturally, and did so without ever experiencing any soreness, except for when I first started working out, when I took a lengthy break of more than a week from performing a workout, or when I added new exercises to my routine. Since the Muscle Now program requires that you train each muscle group every 3 to 5 days, I always stayed within that framework, unless I took a vacation or experienced an injury. and even when increasing sets during a muscle now cycle, I experienced little if any soreness after the first cycle was over, because the muscle now workout frequency is sufficient to avoid excessive rest. So not only is soreness not an indicator of a good workout, but it could actually signal a bad workout strategy that should immediately change before you rob yourself of maximum results. At the end of this video, you will see a link to another video where I further explain proper workout frequency, because if you are going to spend your time in the gym, then you may as well do it the right way. Before you go, I have two small favors to ask. Please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It only takes a second, but it tells YouTube this mission is worth sharing. Over 91% of you still aren't subscribed, so join the Incredibody community today, and let's transform bodies and minds, one person at a time.